This week, the Seven Rivers Spotlight turns to Sparta. Spotlight on Sparta, brought to you by Sparta Market and Pharmacy, Mayo Clinic Health System, Franciscan Healthcare Sparta Clinic, and Century Foods International. And Union National Bank in Sparta. Biederman Jewelers, Guns and Cash for You, Maiden, Wisconsin, Ole and Bean Creations, and the Sparta Downtown Business Association. Art, Shoes and Formal Wear, Bonita's Bridal Boutique, Beauty Mart, Salon and Spa, The Greenery, Quilt Corner, and Second Season.
Hello everybody and welcome to Seven Rivers Spotlight Sparta. I'm your host Rick Wilson. Sparta was founded in 1851, over 160 years ago. Initially it was founded at the intersection of a couple of different roads. There was a military road coming from Prairie du Chien and Hudson, and then the road that was constructed between Portage City and La Crosse. It seemed like a good place, a confluence of an intersection if you will, it seemed like a good place to form a city. In 1896, over $115,000 and was put into improvements in the city of Sparta. And by that I mean buildings went up. It became a major metropolis for that time, if you will. Well, since that time, since about 1896, a lot of those buildings have come down, but many of them are still standing, and many of them have a rich architectural history. Today on Seven Rivers Spotlight Sparta, we're going to look at a few of the buildings that still remain and look somewhat like they did many years ago. And we're going to talk to some of the current proprietors of those buildings and find out what their plans are for the buildings in terms of updating or even renovating those buildings. So join us today on Seven Rivers Spotlight on Sparta.
Quilt Corner is where you can learn about quilting from start to finish. They offer classes and carry all the supplies you need. Fabric, patterns, books, batting. They can even long arm your quilt and bind it. Quilting is fun at Quilt Corner in Sparta.
Maiden, Wisconsin gift shop features Wisconsin-made products like cheese, coffee, honey, t-shirts, jewelry, and artwork made by local artists. You'll find unique gifts throughout the store. Maiden, Wisconsin, open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 4.
Hi, I'm Dean from Cash for You in downtown Sparta, Monroe County's only real gun shop with regular hours of operation. We offer these at wholesale dealer prices plus the minimum 5% markup.
We may be a small bank, but we are big on technology. When life gets busy, there's mobile banking. You've got places to go and people to see.
TTYL? Well, I've got a lot of peeps to see. LOL.
This computer-age convenience from your smartphone enables you to view balances, transfer funds, and much more. You can find us in the App Store. Bank smart with mobile banking. Union National Bank, Sparta. Member FDIC. We're big on you.
We're just a small town community bank, but we're big on you.
Ole and Bean Creations in downtown Sparta has homemade soy candles and scented gifts. Body Safe scented soap, lotion, body sprays, hand sanitizers. Their jelly jar candles are made with soy wax and lead-free wick.
Second Season Consignment and Resale Store has something for you. There's clothing for infants, children, and adults, furniture and toys. Turn your gently used clothing into cash. Second Season open Tuesday through Saturday.
The Greenery in downtown Sparta can personalize a gift from your heart. Gifts for Mother's Day, graduation, special occasion, jewelry, and fresh flowers. The Greenery is your personalized gift shop in downtown Sparta.
We're standing outside the Dodge and Davis building now. Now this building was built in 1872 and it was a department store for the Dodge brothers. The three brothers built the building back then. Eventually a brother-in-law came along by the name of Davis and they changed the name to the Dodge and Davis building. This store was at one time thought to have everything you could possibly want in Sparta. Some of the people that shopped here said you never had to go anywhere else because everything you wanted was right here in Sparta. Now if you look at the tops up here, at one time there were big windows all across the front of the building. Down at the end of the building was at one time Taylor Drug. Well, the Dodge brothers bought that building and added the facade all the way down to the end so as to make it into one great big building. Now to this day, obviously you can see the windows are covered up, so it's not quite the same as it was many, many years ago. Bonita's Boutique is now part of this building. Let's go inside now. We're going to visit with Bonita because she's taken an interest in the history of the Dodge and Davis building, and I think she can share with us a lot of information about this building. We've come inside the Dodge building now, and we're meeting with Bonita Sanders. Bonita, you have Bonita's Bridal Boutique here, right?
Yes, I do.
Now, you're kind of a historian of this building. I understand you took quite an interest in the building, right?
Yes, I love this building, and I went to the history room and did research and found out all kinds of history about the building and the owners at that time and how long it ran and what it was to the community. And this was the hub of the entire county. This is where everybody came to shop.
And it was now the Dodge brothers built the building initially, right? And it was the Dodge brothers building or department store. Is that what they call it?
Yes, it was a dry goods store, and they had fabrics originally because there was no such thing as ready to wear in the 1870s.
Well, let's take a look at some of the pictures you have on the wall here. Let's first of all, what are we looking at right here?
Well, this is a picture of the upstairs ladies' dressing room. And it would have been in the front corner of the building because there's windows, big windows, and there's no other place on the building that shows that there had ever been big windows. So that would have been in the front corner of the building. And then these are actual ads from Rufus Dodge in the Sparta paper from the 1800s.
Is it 1800? Oh yeah, because the building.
It's right at the turn of the century. Yeah, I think right over here's the date. Let's see.
Okay.
1890.
Yeah.
January 28, 1890.
Okay. Very
Yeah.
good.
And we got these pictures, copies of the pictures from the history room here in town.
All right, let's walk down here and take a look at some more now. We got a couple more pictures up here. What are we seeing in this picture here?
This is one of the first known photos of the Dodge building. It shows the original wrought iron work on the outside of the building. The windows were always so beautiful, and people would come from all around just to see the window displays that Ray Raymer used to do. He decorated the windows for the majority of the time that the building was open for Dodge and Davis.
So this picture we're looking at here was probably 1870, 1880?
This would probably be 1880s to 1890s, yeah. And if you'll notice, it has parasols in the window. Be looking for parasols in our window this spring.
Now next door, what is this building here? I notice it's a little bit different.
Right next to it used to be Taylor's dry goods store, so there was a side-by-side dry goods stores. And as you can tell with the the architecture on this building, it was an older building because Dodge and Davis was the newest building on the block at the time. And they had removed the old Jackson Drug Store. It was a wooden building. They had removed it to put the Dodge building here. Okay. And so this was the Taylor store was an older store, and it was acquired by the Dodge and Davis boys at a later date, and then the facade was changed.
We'll look at that in this next picture here, aren't we?
Actually, this one down here.
Okay, well, what about this one first? Is there anything?
This one's right at the turn of the century, probably about 1910. And if you'll notice, he has more beautiful displays in the window. And you notice there's cases, glass cases on the side of the building that have been added, and that was just for additional display. And the men's, to go into the men's department, there was a door down at the back end of the building here. That's where the men went into their department, and I'll show you what the men's department looked like in the picture on down. But all this wrought iron, you can see better in this picture, and that's still underneath the facade. Really? It's still under there.
Think someday you might peel that off? Or?
If I ever get a chance to buy the building, you bet I will.
And this clock, I noticed they have this clock standing out on the street too.
And you also see that there's no stop sign here. Yeah. And that was a beautiful old clock. There were windows all upstairs. Look at all the windows that were up there.
Are those wooden sidewalks too?
They were called boardwalks, yes. Yes, and they're, a big step up. They even have ramps to get up to them. That's how low the street was at that time.
So we're talking a dirt street then at that time, huh? Yeah. How about this one now?
This one you can see that we have a stop sign here.
Oh, okay.
On Main Street, and so the street ran both directions in that time period. Yeah. This would have been more like the 30s, 1930s, 1940s, and you can see here there's a seam where they took over the Taylor building and put the new facade on. The brick is not exactly the same, and if you go outside today, you can see that there is just a little bit of a difference. Where you have your two arch windows on either side of the straight windows, and then you have two more arch windows, which now is over logo wear.
Okay. Let's take a look inside what the building used to look like.
The inside was fabulous. At the turn of the century, in the early days, they did not have ready-to-wear, so everything was fabrics. And so the merchant would run and grab the different pieces to pull together an ensemble, and the customers sat on the stools, the little bar stools by the counters, and so it was actually salesmanship at that time. And the people would decide what they wanted. It would be wrapped up. They would take it to a tailor and then come back and get their garment. And notice the beautiful tin ceilings. They're still up there. They're still up there. They're just covered with this drop ceiling. I think JCPenney's put the drop ceiling in. And it used to have windows up high all the way around. If you go outside the building, you can see where the windows used to be. They're bricked in. And this right now, what you're looking at here, this is now our country florals department. So that would have been the men's department right behind this wall. And then upstairs, they had the ladies' department. This would have been the shawls that they draped across the ceiling. And again, you see the bar stools. And so this picture was taken about the same time as the men's department picture. And so all of the cases with the ribbons in it and all of the fabrics and everything are all upstairs, and so it would have been handled the same. And they have beautiful ceilings upstairs as well.
Those are shawls hanging from the ceiling?
Yes, yes. And look at the Chinese lanterns.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Very beautiful, well done, glass cases, ornate wood, and a hardwood floor.
Beautiful, beautiful. What's this one here now?
This would have been the basement, and in the basement they had the housewares. That's where they had their glass lanterns and their wash bowls and basins, pitchers and basins. And then they had more of the Chinese lanterns. You can see the pipes for the heating system. There was no air conditioning, of course. I don't know what they did, but with the extra high ceilings, the heat in the summertime would have gone up, so it would have remained cool down on the floor level anyway. And so this doesn't look anything like that now because Logoware's screen printing shop is down there now in the basement. Yeah. And then we have our final picture is the very sad closing of the Dodge building, and that was done in the 1970s. And shortly after that, JCPenney's purchased the building, and JCPenney's was in here for a while, and that's why we have the carpet shapes the way they are on the floor today because of JCPenney's. They're different departments.
And they had kind of an aisle kind of, yeah, okay.
So, and then where the carpets were, that would have been the different departments. And upstairs it does the same thing. There's a lot of carpet area, but there's an aisle to walk on. And the purpose for that was so that they didn't have to clean the carpet all the time. You clean the floors instead.
And Penny's moved in here in 1970,
In
was
the
it?
70s, mid-70s, yes.
And so it was JCPenney's until when?
I think, that I'm not certain of. I think it was until the mid-80s, and then they moved to La Crosse.
Well, quite a history, and
is,
thank you so much for your time and for giving us that instructive look at the Dodge and Davis building.
Thank you for coming in. I'm thrilled about the history, and I want more people to come in and see the photo gallery and learn more about the building because it is a beautiful building. And if you go into the bridal shop, you see up, if you look up, you can actually see the original tin ceiling because we opened it up and put plexiglass so it could be seen.
You could see it.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to coming back in years to come and seeing how you've restored some more of it, maybe.
Well, we sure hope we can do that.
Hey, outstanding. Well, let's take a look at some more buildings here throughout Sparta, so we'll continue on our journey.
Orange Shoes and Formal Wear in Sparta offers famous brand shoes for your entire family for all seasons. Biggest selection of sizes and widths in the region. Need a tuxedo for your special event? Orange's has the latest textiles and colors.
Biederman Jewelers can help you find personal gifts. They have watches for him, or choose a fragrance, necklace, or a birthstone mounted on a perfect ring for her. Biederman's has unique gifts like Tiffany lamps, jewelry cases, clocks, and home decor.
Head to downtown Sparta for a unique shopping experience. The Downtown Business Association has a wonderful collection of stores to offer you. Historic buildings with stories to tell. Something for everyone in downtown Sparta.
Wall Street bailouts, $1 million bonuses are not the sort of thing we do. We're just a small fry with a little guy. We're a lot like you.
We're just a small town community bank, but we're big on you. Union National Bank Sparta, member FDIC.
We're just a small town community bank, but we're big on you.
Planning your wedding? This is Audra at Bonita's Bridal Boutique in downtown Sparta. Bonita's carries dresses and tuxedos for weddings, prom, and special events. From table linens and dishes to our fabulous chocolate fountain.
At Beauty Mark Salon and Spa, your beauty is their innovation. Ruth can pamper you to your heart's content. From colors for gray coverage, spa pedicures, to waxing services.
Wild Woman's vintage clothing. Fun, funky, and fresh. From flapper fashions to greaser looks, make your style fabulous at Wild Woman's.
This is the Union Block Building, located at 132 to 136 North Water Street. It was built in 1875 and still retains much of its original outside appearance today. It was built by the union of three partners, a J. Moffett, a Mrs. Robinson, and an H. Palmer. It's a 9-bay brick commercial block with a massive Italianate projecting iron cornice. Notice also the brick arcade, comprised of classical round arches resting on capped applied pilasters. Over the years, it has been the home for many different commercial enterprises. This building is known as George's Pharmacy. It's located at 112 to 116 North Water Street and was built in 1930. It was originally built to house Otis George's drugstore and provide a personal residence for him and his family. There are 4 second-floor apartments. The largest was the one where the Georges lived. It was George's Pharmacy until the 1950s, then was Harold's Studio for a while, then became the Federal Land Bank Association from 1960 to 1965. It also housed the Credit Association during that time. Prior to 1930, there were no buildings located on this spot because it actually spans the creek and is supported on steel I-beams and piers. It was severely damaged in 1943 by the flood that Sparta experienced that year. The flood also caused the street to sink and a big hole to form in the middle of downtown Water Street, as you can see here. This is the Williams Block. It's located at 123 to 129 South Water Street and was built in 1896. This beautiful Romanesque style building has a prominent turret and classical ornamentation such as swag designs and Palladian styled windows. It was constructed by local contractors Hushka and Davenport. From 1896 to the 1930s, it housed Roberts & Jones grocery store, and the second floor was used to hold city council meetings. Doctors Beebe's and Searles had offices there in the early years, and then Fellon Shoes from the 1940s until it closed in 1965. The next store north, at 127, had Jones's Tailor Shop initially, then in the 20s, Barlow Radio Sporting Goods and Clothing. Then in 1930 to about 1960, it was dress and hat shops, like Miller's Dress and Hat Shop in 1942, M's Dress Shop in 1950, and the Totten Teen Shop in 1965. The Taylor Drug Company was located at the 125 address from 1906 to 1933. They carried not only lines of drugs, but also wallpaper, cut glass, mixed paints, and sundries, including stationery, school supplies, perfumes, toilet articles, souvenir postcards, cigars, and confectionery in the leading brands, especially Lowney's chocolates from Boston, Massachusetts. Jackson Drugs took over the location from 1933 to 1968. Currently, Mike's TV Furniture and Appliance is housed in the building. The Masonic Temple was built in 1891 and was located at 100 to 102 North Water Street. It looks very different today. Built by the Masons, the second floor was set up as a meeting space for Valley Lodge number 60. The Knights of Pythias were located on the second floor after 1923. Also, the post office was located there from 1891 to 1904. The first floor space has been occupied by a number of businesses since 1891. A series of stationery stores were located there, most notably the George Seidel Drugs, Books, and Stationery from 1911 to 1919. The George's Corner Drug Store was there from 1919 to 1930, then the Tasty Pastry Bake Shop from 1930 to 1939, Your Kitchen Bakery from 1942 to 1946, and the Corner Bakery from 1950 to 1976. In the space next door at 102 North Water, Boots and Shoes was there from 1891 to 1909, the G.F. Lilly Variety Store from 1909 to 1929, and Coast to Coast from 1942 to 1976. The Bell Theater was built at 210 South Water Street in 1919. Prior to that, the space was occupied by a boarding stable and a cigar factory. But the theater was a classic. It was advertised as modern and fireproof. In the 1920s, it showed newsreels and a variety of silent movies featuring the likes of Rudolph Valentino, Lillian Gish, and Harold Lloyd. Sound was introduced in 1927. They would also have live local performances by local talent. In 1927, the name was changed to the Classic Theater. After that, it became a series of nightclubs. In the 70s, it was the Theater Nightclub, and in 2008, the Dimensions Bar. Eventually, the liquor license was not renewed, and the building was sold. It now houses Wild Woman's, and we spoke to the current proprietor, Patricia Barnes.
Now, Patricia, maybe you can tell us, when did you first find the building?
I found the building a little over a year ago in November, walking down the street one day, and I was looking for more space for my vintage apparel shop.
And had you been somewhere else in town at that time? And then moved here?
I was actually spending the day with Bonita, who has the bridal shop up the street.
Okay. All right.
And they were suggesting that I come to Sparta because I was looking for more space and really didn't want to go all the way to La Crosse.
Okay.
And the town wasn't a concern to me. I was looking for space. I was looking for the right building. And noticed the sign on the marquee and talked to the owner, who at that time wasn't quite ready to sell it yet.
Oh, okay.
But he couldn't do anything with the building. And a couple of weeks later we talked. I looked and then looked again and bought the building.
Now, over the years, this had been a theater for many years, but then it became a series of bars, is that right?
A series of nightclubs, they called them.
Okay, excuse me.
It became, in the early 70s, a fellow came from Chicago and raised part of the floor, put in a big circular bar in the center, seating along the sides, and made the theater nightclub out of it. And they had a lot of bands in here, a lot of parties through the years. Bought the building, there was no sign of the original theater left, except the archways off the foyer and the stairs. I have a set of stairs that go up to the original balcony, which was also turned into a private bar area.
Now, what are your plans for the building now that you've taken it over?
Right now, I'm just using the space.
Are you going to fix it up, or?
I'm not. Well, there is no restoration to the original theater because everything's been taken out of it. There's nothing here. I just bought a big white box.
Okay.
And so I'm going to use this out. Do no harm.
Like it is now.
Like it is now.
How would you describe your vintage shop here?
Smiles. Smiles. People walk in and they start to smile because of the, well, there again, light and color and fun. I sell vintage apparel, retro, right up to higher end new. I can sell you a $20 pair of shoes, or I can sell you a $1,500 pair of shoes.
Okay.
No, I buy high-end things, but I sell them for a fraction of the original price. We let someone else pay the original cost. And so I do sell a lot of shoes, a lot of gowns. Right now, military balls are coming, so we're getting a lot of girls for that. Prom. I'm expanding my men's department. I have a lot of men's vintage and a lot of costume and a lot of feathers.
Yeah, I see.
Parties, you know, a lot of feathers, a lot of evening gowns.
Fun stuff.
Fun stuff. I don't do a lot of generic. You know, when somebody comes in and asks where my blouse rack is, I just kind of smile. Because we don't have that.
Costume jewelry? And
right now I'm selling the new, but I have dresser drawers full of wonderful old costume jewelry from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. I'm not really into the antique.
Yeah.
I love it, I appreciate it, but it's not my interest.
Yeah.
So these cases in the front by spring will be filled with that jewelry.
Okay.
Now, what would a town be without a hotel? On this spot, in 1888, the Ida House was built. It became the Hotel Lewis, then the Baldwin, then the Hotel Garvin, the Sparta Hotel, and this, the Nicollet Hotel, which was torn down in 1964. The first Bank of Sparta was built on this spot in 1965 and remained there until 2007. Today, it continues to house a bank. I hope you're enjoying today's history lesson about Sparta. We'll be back with more on some more of the buildings in downtown Sparta right after this.
Quilt Corner is where you can learn about quilting from start to finish. They offer classes and carry all the supplies you need. Fabric, patterns, books, batting. They can even long arm your quilt and bind it. Quilting is fun at Quilt Corner in Sparta.
Maiden Wisconsin Gift Shop features Wisconsin-made products like cheese, coffee, honey, t-shirts, jewelry, and artwork made by local artists. You'll find unique gifts throughout the store. Maiden Wisconsin, open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 4.
Hi, I'm Dean from Cash for You in downtown Sparta, Monroe County's only real gun shop with regular hours of operation. We offer these at wholesale dealer prices plus the minimum 5% markup.
Olean Bean Creations in downtown Sparta has homemade soy candles and scented gifts. Body Safe scented soap, lotion, body sprays, hand sanitizers. Their jelly jar candles are made with soy wax and lead-free wick.
Second Season Consignment and Resale Store has something for you. There's clothing for infants, children, and adults, furniture, and toys. Turn your gently used clothing into cash. Second Season open Tuesday through Saturday.
The Greenery in downtown Sparta can personalize a gift from your heart. Gifts for Mother's Day, graduation, special occasion, jewelry, and fresh flowers. The Greenery is your personalized gift shop in downtown Sparta.
Orange Shoes and Formal Wear in Sparta offers famous brand shoes for your entire family for all seasons. Biggest selection of sizes and widths in the region. Need a tuxedo for your special event? Orange's has the latest textiles and colors.
Biederman Jewelers can help you find personal gifts. They have watches for him, or choose a fragrance, necklace, or a birthstone mounted on a perfect ring for her. Biederman's has unique gifts like Tiffany lamps, jewelry cases, clocks, and home decor.
Head to downtown Sparta for a unique shopping experience. The Downtown Business Association has a wonderful collection of stores to offer you. Historic buildings with stories to tell. Something for everyone in
downtown Sparta.
Planning your wedding? This is Audra at Bonita's Bridal Boutique in downtown Sparta. Bonita's carries dresses and tuxedos for weddings, prom, and special events. From table linens and dishes to our fabulous chocolate fountain.
At Beauty Mark Salon and Spa, your beauty is their innovation. Ruth can pamper you to your heart's content. From colors for gray coverage, spa pedicures, to waxing services.
Wild Woman's Vintage Clothing. Fun, funky, and fresh. From flapper fashions to greaser looks, make your style fabulous at Wild Woman's.
Just a few more things we want to cover about what's going on in Sparta this week. As the weather changes, the Sparta Parks and Rec Department has announced the River Run Golf Course will open for business today. This is the earliest the course has been opened in quite some time. You can purchase your annual memberships at Sparta City Hall. Red Cross is sponsoring a Sparta Blood Drive on Tuesday, March 20th from 10 a.m. to 4:30 at the Sparta Community Center at 1000 East Montgomery Street in the gym. For an appointment, call the Red Cross at 1-800-RED-CROSS or visit their website at redcrossblood.org. The National Weather Service will hold Skywarn severe weather spotting training classes on Tuesday, March 20th at Western Technical College on the Sparta campus in room 101. Classes will be held at 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. and are free and open to the public. First Congregational Church of Leon will hold a pancake supper this Thursday from 4 to 8. They're located just 4 miles south of Sparta on Highway 27. A free will donation is requested. The Sparta Boys Basketball Club will hold their monthly meeting on Wednesday, March 21st at 6 p.m. in the Sparta High School cafeteria. If you would like to help to promote boys basketball in Sparta, you're encouraged to attend. The Sparta Men's Golf Association Invitational Basketball Tournament is scheduled for this Saturday at the high school. Tournament gets underway about 8 a.m. with the championship game about 2:15. Part of the proceeds will be used to help fund the junior golf program. Sparta American Legion is looking for vendors for their upcoming spring craft show on Saturday, March 24th. Those who are interested should contact Susan Betts at 608-343-7069. We want to thank our friends at the Monroe County Historical Society for providing us with a lot of the information and pictures that you've seen today on Seven Rivers Spotlight on Sparta. And if you'd like more information on any of those buildings, or for that matter, any of the history of Sparta, contact our friends over at the Monroe County History Room right there in downtown Sparta. They'll have all sorts of information there for you. They're a treasure trove of historic information about Sparta. And again, we thank them for helping us put together today's program. Till next time, everybody, I'm Rick Wilson, and thanks for joining us on Seven Rivers Spotlight on Sparta.
This week, the Seven Rivers Spotlight turns to Sparta. Brought to you by Sparta Market and Pharmacy, Mayo Clinic Health System, Franciscan Healthcare Sparta Clinic, Century Foods International, and Union National Bank in Sparta. Biederman Jewelers, Ole and Bean Creations, Guns and Cash for You, Maiden, Wisconsin, and the Sparta Downtown Business Association. Arndt Shoes and Formal Wear, Bonita's Bridal Boutique, Beauty Mark Salon and Spa, The Greenery, Quilt Corner, and Second Season.